This is the Rescue of the Bride YouTube channel. The title of this video is Oroville Dam Flood Warning. My name is Dan Berglund. I confess that Jesus Christ came to earth in the flesh. I confess Jesus Christ is Lord. Yesterday, I left a blog entry at Godlike Productions. It's a blog site. I asked my Heavenly Father this morning as I was out walking with him, would you like me to make a video about this? He said yes. However, considering the nature of the video, the business of flooding, I wanted a confirmation. So I asked, Father, would you please confirm this for me? I'd like to make sure that you're leading in this and that I'm not getting in the way. I don't want to be leading. I want you to be leading because I want to be doing the right thing. A moment later, he gave me the number 1813. I went to look it up in the Strong's Concordance. Here's what I found. In the Strong's Concordance, number 1813 equates to this word. I don't know how to pronounce that word, so forgive me, but I do know what its definition is. It means to wipe out, to erase, to obliterate. I plaster, I wash over, I wipe off, I wipe out, I obliterate. Considering that we're talking about a flood here, this business of wash over, wipe off, wipe out, and obliterate, I took that as a confirmation. So my intention now is to walk through that blog entry with you and show you what I wrote, at least for part of it, and I'll leave the rest of it in the description box to make sure that you have all the content available to you. This is the actual message. It's 3445731. It's a blog that's been up and operational since the Oroville problems in 2017. And the first entry that I've made in it is 1164 here for this particular production. So it's got many pages to it. I'll leave that in the description box as well. Let's start with the message. I've read through the comments that the Godlike Productions commenter C-Rose8 made in 2017. C-Rose8 makes it clear that she is a remote viewer. That's sort of like a prophet, but I'm not sure how that actually connects. In simple terms, what it means is that she says that she can visit places and timelines and see and or experience what's going on. I don't know C-Rose8. I don't have any connection with her. My understanding is that she's a woman who lives on the other side of the country from California. I have no way of verifying her abilities, but I do know what she wrote. I thought it might be useful to assemble a partial timeline of her remote viewing events from the comments she made on this thread. All of her original remote view comments, are available on this thread starting on page 429. So if you go up to this forum here, to that message, and jump back to page 429, you can get the comments directly. I just thought it would be a little bit easier to digest this material if it were condensed and focused. So I will leave her comments unchanged so that you can search for them more easily. I'll go through about half of these comments now and then jump to the explanation of the event timeline that I drew from this. In her first remote view on February 15, 2017, she says that the electric towers were gone. This is important because they existed in 2017 and she thought she was seeing a vision of 2017 at the time, but she was surprised that those electric towers were gone. They're now located elsewhere in the year 2019. Number two, this is her talking. I panned to inside the area of the main spillway into the water. Something was wrong there where the two spillways are meeting and the wall there was just totally gone. The other spillway is called the emergency spillway. That area seemed bad again, not clear on what. I saw the parking lot undercut. In her second remote view on that same day, she said, okay, that was clearer, news lady again. Apparently she'd been talking about a news lady or had seen a news lady in the previous view. At 7 a.m. Workers were finally able to see the source and extent of the damage. I again saw the same area, the south side of the emergency spillway where it meets the connection to the main spillway. I had to rewind a bit to determine what happened. That area overspilled, water got to the main spillway and eroded north and undercut beneath the emergency spillway in the dark morning hours. I got Sunday, Monday on it in the evacuation warning again. Let me show you with some pictures what she's talking about here. First, let's go to Google Earth. Take a look at the picture of the dam itself. This is Oroville Dam. Note that the orientation is such that north is kind of going up and to the left. It makes it easier to see the entire dam structure and the parking lot and so forth in one picture this way. This is the Oroville Dam over here. This is called the emergency spillway in this area in red on the left side. And this is the gatehouse for the main spillway, which is this long gray and white strip that's going where I'm holding my hand right now. This area in green then is that sometimes referred to as the gates or the gate headworks, or the left and right side of it would be called abutments. What's interesting, however, is this area right here that I've marked with a yellow rectangle. This is very close to the intersection of the emergency spillway, shown in red here, with the main spillway headworks, the abutment, shown to the right here in green. I'll show that to you a little bit later in other pictures. Here we go. This is from the live camera feeds today. If we look at this from the bottom part of the main spillway, the yellow arrows pointing to the area where this construction work is going on. There's a block of cement to the left of it, which is somewhat pyramid shaped, and then the emergency spillway is to the left of that. So in the top picture now, we're focusing on that. Again, this comes where this little yellow rectangle is, and back in the Microsoft Word document, it's to the left of the emergency to the main spillway, and to the right of that block of concrete. So that's what shows in greater detail up here on the first picture. This picture is again from the live camera feed. By the way, I'll be leaving links for these live camera feeds as well. And it shows a row of pipes over here, basically steel stanchions. And it shows a number of holes that have been dug out here. And then, not very easily visible to us, there's a hole that's been dug out here. It's very large, and they've had to use this cherry picker crane to be able to lower men and raise men out of it because the ladder that they were using wasn't deep enough. So they've got holes in the ground to this side of the concrete apron for the emergency spillway, and on the near side, the gate side of the pyramid-like structure, which I'm showing here, there's a large hole where the cherry picker is. And what I suspect is that they're attempting to do grouting operations. Like when you do grouting in a bathroom to keep water from going through, they're doing this on an industrial level, digging holes in this case, to put in grouting compound to see if they can stop the flow of water. The water apparently is flowing underneath the emergency spillway and underneath the gate headworks and showing up elsewhere in the real estate of the Oroville Dam structure. So let's go back now to that. She says, okay, that was clear. The workers were finally able to see the source and extent of the damage. I again saw the same area, south side of the emergency spillway, where it meets with a connection to the main spillway. I had to rewind a bit to determine what happened. That area overspilled. Water got to the main spillway and eroded north and undercut beneath the emergency spillway in the dark morning hours. I got a Sunday, Monday on it, an evacuation notice again. The next day, she said, I saw the failure, the beginnings of it. I saw it expanding into a gushing plume from that spot. To be honest, looking in at it was terrifying because it's not exactly just viewing. It's like I'm actually there. My heart races. I feel the wind. I hear the water. I hear the emotion of the reporter's voice. I know you want more, to see more. I do too, but afraid as well. If what I'm seeing is the same timeline, it will be a spillway failure from what I see. I think from what I saw, it would compromise the emergency spillway worse, but the main spillway would follow. Second comment she made was, messed up thing was the failure came from a spot I didn't expect. I thought further north by the sunk-in area before the parking lot was where the bubbles were. To me, It seems that upon seeing the damage at 7 o'clock a.m., the evacuation was issued. It goes before 8 a.m. She's talking about the dam breaching at that point, before 8 a.m. that morning in this viewing. No time was repeated by the reporter lady. Those who left during the advised evacuation had time. 5. I saw the wall of water come down the hill. I saw the town. I quit. And then she makes reference to a guardsman. In this case, my understanding is a National Guardsman. He knew that there was going to be an evacuation again. He said something about a re-evacuation, which we'll get later on, which meant that they higher up know that it's not going to hold up, and that since Oroville had never been evacuated in 2017, it couldn't have applied to then because there was no re-evacuation going on then. But if it were to be evacuated now, it would be a re-evacuation because it would be a repeat of what happened in 2017. The maps last night showed routes to Chico were closed. This is a town to the north of Oroville, and so she says you must go north and west to get out, or get out east, but go high elevations and out of the basin. She's talking about the Central Valley of the Northern California area. And finally, later on, she says, it's going to fail. Someone mentioned the same thing I saw in my remote view, and another person mentioned a Scott Cahill, so I'm going to see what that's all about. I was personally convinced of failure of the emergency spillway on the far left side. I was in no way prepared for what I saw last night in the remote view. It did collapse. I didn't share every tiny detail as I was on my phone typing. When it broke, I saw a large chunk of the emergency spillway push forward, outward, and scoot, and then roll down the hill in the flow. Let's see what she's talking about. She's talking about this red area here, this emergency spillway, and I'm suspecting that the portion of the spillway that she saw break was this one right here where my hand is waving back and forth. It breaks off, is pushed forward, and then it tumbles down the hill in the flow of the water. So I never saw the towers. She's talking about electrical towers now, just large chunks of soil where they had been. Considering the base structure of those towers, not just individual anchors, they pour a giant base underneath the soil. She says, I work in construction, so I understand what it entails. But the area where they poured the concrete, where the road eroded out, that's the area of what causes the issue in the remote view from the front end. I don't know what she means by that. I did see the road blast out. I did see some debris material from the backside of the dam and thought it might have damaged it far down the depth of the emergency spillway at that point. Who knows what flowing water is carrying and if it's gouging ground materials away from the emergency spillway. There's only like 8 feet of fill behind it at the ground level. I don't know if the fill material is solid or loose. If it's loose, yeah, I totally get it, she says. That's as much of the blog entry that I'm going to read. My intention now is to jump down to through the other details, which you can read about on your own if you choose to. And I'll summarize how the whole thing comes together. I was able to pick out the chronology to the best of my ability as to how this thing comes together. So here's the event timeline. Sea Rose 8 may not have seen the events in the order that they happened. I have tried to place them in chronological order. These events take place either on a Sunday morning or a Monday morning. Is it this Sunday morning? Is it this Monday morning coming up? I don't know. It could be. Number 1, in the dark morning hours, an expanding, gushing plume of water emerges just south of the intersection of the emergency spillway and the main spillway. The possible connection in this case is that work crews have dug a deep hole in this area and were seen going into and out of it on May 22, 2019. That's today. Well, it's yesterday. Okay. Number 2, the water overspills the connection of the emergency spillway and the main spillway. This is my personal speculation. I speculate that the emergency spillway may have broken away from the north main spillway abutment by this time, as the abutment foundation may have been compromised, possibly shifted or sunken somehow by water flowing underneath it. Number 3, the water flow reaches the main spillway. Number 4, the water flow erodes north, undercutting the emergency spillway, still in the dark morning hours. Then, when we reach 7 o'clock, an evacuation order is issued. Those who leave during this advised non-mandatory evacuation had time to get out to get to safety. Number 6, a major breach occurs before 8/9 a.m. I'm not sure which one of those numbers is correct. She gave 2 different times. The large chunk of the emergency spillway pushes outward and scoots, then rolls down the hill in the flow. And finally, 7, a wall of water comes down the hill toward the city of Oroville. Will this happen? I don't know. I'm not a prophet. I'm reporting what this remote viewer said. However, what she did say was that the evacuation order would be given at 7 o'clock, and those who took heed for that evacuation order would have time to get out alive. So if you have anyone in the Oroville area or downstream from Oroville, say Live Oak or maybe Sacramento, or anywhere in that Central Valley region that would be affected by a flood coming from the Oroville Dam, please let them know about this video. Please get it to their attention. And I think that's all I have for you. Until we meet again, blessings to you and your loved ones.